Hi there. So finally, as promised, I'm doing the part one to my Honda CUB build. And what you see here is basically the most simple mock-up that I can do at this moment in time after I figured out on a couple of sketches what I really want to achieve. And let me just take you to the sketch a little bit closer. One of the key visual features is that the seat is a little bit lower than the top edge of the rear tire. Also, the wheelbase is slightly longer by bringing the suspension part of the front fork out and up a little bit. And I'm compressing the area around the tank and the seat situation, and I am lengthening the fork. These are all features which are necessary to achieve this look. It starts off with me choosing the biggest tire that is available to me. It is a 100 by 80/17. This is a fairly good tire. Don't know why it was sorted out. This is a recycled tire again, but I can't see any fault with it. Now, in order to be lower, the tire stands obviously a little bit straighter, so it'll be just a touch higher. We'll also have some air in it, so it grows a touch, but we're just basically kind of like not there yet. And then we have the seat to go on top of that. So how do we achieve this? Because obviously the way I set it here on a wooden block is quite much lower than a regular Honda CUB would stand or sit. So what I'm doing here is, you see here the original mounting position to the suspension arms. I have prepared a tube that will go around this, and the actual original piece will go inside this tube, and then we will position that most likely somewhere here. So, which means that instead of doing such a thing, this goes down here and it goes further back. In order for this to be possible, I have to take the original swing arm and obviously lengthen it. Sorry, this is the wrong way around. You got a premium good quality swing arm that has survived the odds. This is the axis down here, so I'm going to stay with the original axis position, but I'm moving it backwards. Would you rest here? So that means this will go further and further back, and therefore I need to lengthen the swing arm a touch. All right. That brings this up. It's relatively horizontal in its original condition, and the original seat suspension arm shock absorber is mounted further down here and further back in relative terms. So this space extends in order to get this more shallow angle. Is that better? Now let me show you some problem that I need to deal with, and I'm prepared for it. That is this here. Obviously everything is a little bit crusty, and therefore we're also going to replace what you see here or strengthen from the outside while maintaining the position as much as possible. So this might not be necessary because I'm going to stiffen this otherwise. There might be a lot of fresh air, we will see, but definitely down here I need to replace the swing arm position. The eyes for the mounting for the engine looks good. So for that, also the main tube is really gone. Can I pull this out? Okay, so I got this piece, which is precisely the dimensions that I need. So I'm going to shove this down here. So we're going to be solid again. I'm not extending the main tube. That just stays the way it is. But I'm going to create a rigidity again, actually superior rigidity than normal. And then the actual wow, okay, maybe I'm confused. Maybe this is the piece down here, yeah, that I'm going to use to put that. So these will be welded together somehow. I might make some brackets for it. And that is basically the story on the rear end. Okay? Yep. So here we go. Bigger tire, shallower angles, new position for the mounting of the shock absorbers, extended fork, repaired main tube and repaired axis for the swing arm. I already made a video on the front fork, which is this here, that actually, according to what you see on my sketch, the suspension unit comes outside. It usually lives inside the fork, so it comes outside, therefore it moves forward, and I move it up too. So that's about 50mm longer wheelbase, and lower the fork by about 50mm too, without changing the characteristics of the suspension. Same in the back, so this will be as comfortable as before. And the only difference is that the motorbike will be a little bit lighter, and there's no preparation for cargo or for 2 passengers, so therefore it's just as well a little bit stiffer. So another thing that you see on the sketch is that the diameter, outside diameter, is much less on the front wheel, so that also helps to bring the front end down, hopefully without changing the angle of the fork too much. I'm trying to keep this is horizontal as of today where you sit, and I want to not change that. Now as for some brackets, some rusty brackets, we don't need them. I will also not use ever a leg shield, so I might keep these though for a while in order to see what else I might use them to bolt on there for. I don't need the preparation for the air filter because I'm using a simple K&N style air filter copy from China for whatever, 10 euros. So let's talk about the modifications in the frame, and if you allow me I will sit down. There you go. Okay. Now the white tape, as you see around the tank area, these are the areas that are cut out. And there's about 25mm where the tank sits, and then there's about 50mm further down where the battery lives. I might need to also modify the tank by 25mm, and I might need to replace the position of the battery, but that could just sit because my wheel moves backwards, so maybe it can just sit underneath on top of the swing arm somewhere. We shall see. So that is basically the main idea behind my build. It's a whole lot more elaborate than what I was hoping for, but I just was doodling away, making some sketches, and I found that this is the look that I like, and I'll just do whatever it takes to get there. Again, there are a couple of things that I'm really planning not to touch. One, that is the length of the main tube. Secondly, the way the fork mounts, the general fork I'm going to use as is. I'm not going to widen it because I don't need to, because I use a skinny front tire. I'm shortening it, yes, but I have this fork that's broken anyway and rusted, so I can just as well not only repair it but modify it to my liking. So for the seat, I will obviously want to keep the seat as skinny as possible. I am investing comfort for looks, so I'm sitting on a piece of skateboard that I will shorten and shape. And that's it. So please, if you have done anything similar, let me know. Send me some information, send me some links. I'm dying to see. What we see here is basically, after I've done a lot of research, there's plenty of customs. They usually, I would say the category that you find most are called Streetcub. There's a lot of bikes that put the suspension completely away and put a solid rear end, non-suspending rear end. I didn't want that. I thought this was simpler to do it this way. So I have the same hinging position, I have the same hinge, I'm using the same rear fork, I'm not widening the rear fork, I'm just only lengthening it. So where the wheel mounts, the width of the mounting position of the rear suspension is the same, and therefore I don't need to do anything to the hubs or the brakes. The engine that I'm using bolts into the same positions as before. I'm using the original engine to start with. The only thing that I might do is change it for a head with bigger valves. For the time being, I'm really trying my absolute very best to get an engine that is functioning out of the 3 that I found. Kind of hopeful at this point. I'm using as many original parts as I can possibly salvage. It's not in order to improve the economics of this project, because it's actually more expensive to restore the old engine, that's for sure. I mean, you look on, for example, eBay Germany, you can buy a Chinese engine. They are typically from Zhongshan or from Lifan, 125cc. You can choose yourself whether they're 4-speed or whether they're automatic, and the cheapest one that I found, which I do believe is an automatic, is about 195 euros, including shipping to your house. So I absolutely cannot even rebuild my little engine for this kind of money, because by the time you buy gaskets, 25 pounds, you buy stuff for the carburetor that is perishable, 10 pounds, you buy this and that paint, and you buy some carburetor cleaner and compressed air in a can and so on. So I've already spent probably at least 120 euros on just things to fix the engine, paint for the cylinder and so on. I mean, I absolutely, don't get me wrong, I love to use something that's real, and I do believe that a Chinese copy of an engine is all very well, and compared to something that's 50 years old, it might be actually functioning better once you sort out the bugs. But there's no substitute for the real thing. And what I find absolutely phenomenal is the quality of these Japanese engines. So you take them apart, where they've been laying around for 30 years in salt water and whatnot, there are still parts that can be salvaged. Of course, once you get salt water on metal and it lays there for decades, there's no much chance that the part has. But once you're lucky enough to find a part of the engine where this hasn't happened, then there will be, sure enough, a 50-year-old part in there that's perfectly functioning. So far on my engine, I'm failing on the main shaft of the gearbox, the lowest, smallest set of teeth, which is completely eaten away by the tin worm, the rusty worm, corrosion, sorry. But it might still work, so we will find out. I hope it doesn't break. So, and as a backup plan, I will of course buy one of those Chinese engines and spend the 200 euros. Did I mention it comes with the CDI, it comes with a carburetor, it comes with a little bit of this and that. So it's like phenomenal. I mean, I've seen websites, if you buy directly in China, which you can do via ebay.co.uk, you can buy a carburetor for £6. It's so incredible. I mean, you can't even buy a repair kit that is coming via UK and it's the same Chinese stuff. So, well, you decide yourself what you think. As for me, I'm trying to use the Japanese stuff absolutely as much as possible, and if it's not possible, then I'll gladly fall back on the option of finding something. So now there's one more thing that I'd like to show you while I get up. Obviously you see about where my tire is positioned from the top, and since this will suspend a little bit, so I need to clearance. So I'm going to clearance the old frame somehow in a completely round fashion, so that my tire is not going to touch the metal. So, and that's about it. I hope you enjoyed the video. Please comment, subscribe, ask away, share your experiences. Looking forward to see it. Have a good day.